Now let us look at specific outcome 2, which is identifying the problems related to single user and multi-user computer operating systems. Literally, just identifying the problems that are related to computers and their software. All right. Problems, part of the things that we should be able to identify at the end of this learning is that problems are identified, explained, and described with agreed time frames. There is no solution if you don't have an agreed time frame, because that solution might take forever. Let's take, for instance, you have a problem with your computer and you take it to someone who's going to sort out the problem. And you need that computer for you to submit your assessments to your trainer, which is me in this case. And the person who's about to sort out those problems with your computer tells you they're going to take more than a month to sort out that problem. Or even worse, they tell you they don't even know how long it's going to take for them to sort out the problem. That will mean that you won't be able to submit back your work to me. And that will be a problem for you. So at the end of the day, that will not be a good time frame for you. So time is very important when solving problems. Then the causes or the cause of the problem are established without trial and error processes. Some of the problems, trial and error literally means we'll try something and see if it works and try something else. But this could actually hinder us from finding the problem, actually the causes of the problem, because some of the trials that we'll be doing might actually end up damaging the system and causing us to have more problems. So we need to be able to identify these problems just by observation, just by diagnosing our system, just the way that we explained before. The problems are logged, recorded for future references. Obviously, once we find a problem and solve it, we don't want to suffer in the future because of the same problem. So we'd like it recorded and known so that in the future, whenever such a problem is found, we can use the same solution that we used last time to solve it. All right. So let's look at the first part. Identify problems related to single user and multi-user operating systems. The first thing that we need to do is to define the problem. You can never solve a problem that you can't define. First of all, you need to define it. You need to know what the problem is. For example, when my computer couldn't connect to the internet, the first thing that I'm able to even tell my technician, if I needed a technician, would be the fact that, look, I expect this computer to go to the Wi-Fi. I normally use this computer on Wi-Fi. Now it's no longer connected to the Wi-Fi. Why is it no longer connected to the Wi-Fi? They are able to then, using those symptoms to say the computer is not connected to the Wi-Fi, they are then able to go through the steps, for example, the steps that I took, or actually to physically remove some components and make sure that the computer is connected to the Wi-Fi. And how do I know the symptoms that this particular computer is not connected to the Wi-Fi? When I press where I normally see my networks, I will not even be able to see networks. For example, it might be in airplane mode, just like that. Now I'm not even able to see what networks are available and everything like that. And this could be a problem for me. The person I go to help me might just then go on and press on this airplane mode, and I'm back online and everything is looking the way it normally looks. Now they can then be able to tell me, never press this button unless if you really want to take your computer offline. Always make sure that this button is on. That way you're connected to your Wi-Fi as you need every time. You can read other examples in this particular case. The other thing is, what caused the problem? It could be a simple human error, just like me pressing here and taking my computer offline. It could also not be a human error. The computer might have fallen, and then because literally in my laptop or in any computer that can connect to the internet, there is an aerial. It's no longer the old type of aerial that we used to have on those old phones, which was big and cumbersome. They are now very small. So this aerial, if it's damaged, the computer therefore is no longer able to connect to the internet. That could be a big issue. Now I might need to have that area replaced. So now we need to know what caused the problem. Did the computer fall? Was the computer used by someone else? This could all make us be able to identify maybe someone changed some settings, just like me going to airplane mode here. Or someone actually dropped this computer, and we can see there's a crack at the back. That crack could be causing these problems. Maybe parts of the internal parts of the computer have actually been damaged due to that fault that just happened. Other things is, what has changed? Did you install new software over the past week or something like that? Did you install an antivirus that you never used before, and stuff like that? Once we have identified all those particular things, we then know for a fact that maybe those could be actually causing the problems. We could actually remove them and reinstall them and see if there is any change. What else has happened? Is this a new problem? That's another thing that we could use to find out if maybe the problem is a combination of things. Maybe you installed the software overworked a component of your computer. For example, if you're into gaming, you installed a very advanced game on your computer, but your computer couldn't handle the pressure that the advanced game caused. Then it crashed what we call the graphics card, which is used for gaming. Now, your computer is no longer behaving well, even with things that it used to behave well on. So even when we remove that particular software, the damage has already been done. So now we might actually need to replace our graphics card, which is also a very expensive piece of equipment. So all these are some of the ways we can actually see if we can sort out any problem. Another thing is to restart everything. I'm sure you've heard about this. Moment your computer is giving you issues, usually people just say, if you try to restart it, this will make sure that it clears all the backlog. Because as we are working on this, for example, if I was to put this on right now, it's called the task manager. The computer will actually show me all the processes that it's actually doing. And some of them are being done in the background, as you can see, just like that. And I can even be able to end some of them, just like what I've just done here, and stuff like that. So all these particular operations being done in the background could actually affect what I'm doing currently. So I might not want these things to affect what I'm doing currently, and they might actually be affecting that. A restart will actually stop all of them. Once I'm coming back to use my computer again, all of the background processes might have been killed, and they will need to be started again. They might have been started by mistake. They might actually have been started by a virus. They might also have been started by me. For example, this Paint program was started by me, but I'm no longer using it. It could actually start making my computer slow down because I'm not even using it. So I might actually end it right now because it's no longer necessary. But if I don't do so, my computer could actually stop working and stop being responsive because there's a lot going on in the background. A restart will actually sort that out. All right. Then you can also check the plugs and cables, which is normally the biggest problems, especially if you say your computer is no longer charging or your computer is no longer connected to your internet. If you are using cable internet connection, that's where we are talking about your RJ49 cables and stuff like that. So if any of those are having problems, you could actually have a problem connecting to the internet. So first of all, check if the cables themselves are fine. You can swap with a cable that you know works and put it where you're having problems. If then it works, it therefore means the cable you just swapped with does not work. Same thing with your charger. You might find that your computer no longer charges or no longer charges normally. You could just swap that charger with someone else with a similar computer. If you find any improvement, it therefore means the problem with your particular charger. You might actually need to replace that particular charger. There are many other instances where you can actually be able to solve some of these problems, but that's one of the example. Then we also have what we call the check the AC power. For example, you might actually think your computer is not coming on, yet the truth of the matter is that your computer is not even connected to the main supply, or there is no even power. Eskom has done its thing. So you might then need to check, are you connected to power? If you're connected, why are you not getting a power to your computer? Is the plug switched on, and so forth? Once you have checked that on, you then be sure to have isolated the problem, and now you no longer have any issues with your computer. Another thing is called retracing your steps. For example, if you did something new on your computer and now suddenly you're having problems, it's a good idea to see what you did before, so that if you could repeat the same steps and you still bump into the same problem, then it might mean that the computer itself has a problem. But if you could repeat the same steps and not have the same problem happen again, it may mean that maybe you just made a mistake in the last steps. The truth of the matter is that your computer has no issues at all. And obviously, keep notes of everything so that you will always be able to solve the same problem in the future without taking long. Because if you don't take notes, you might actually run into the same problem in every time and not be able to solve all those problems. There are many other examples of how you can identify many different problems, which you read about in your learner guide, as you can see me scrolling up and down here. But most of them, you see, they are very similar to what we have just talked about. Please go ahead and read the rest of your learner guide. And once you have any questions, you can always post in our group and ask those questions, and I'll be glad to help you. See you on the next lesson.